Hey there, how you doing? Bobby Dirkens here. Thanks so much for joining me for today's broadcast. And I'm going to break down Justin Fields versus old Goldilocks himself, Trevor Lawrence. Thank you so much. If you don't know me, you know me now. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. I'm glad to have you here, even if you're a degenerate. I'm glad you're here. All right, don't start a cult. I'm not joining your cult. I ain't going to be a part of the cult. It's not my thing. So, a week from today, which today is December 21st, we're going to have a big game at 8 o'clock at the Fiesta Bowl, Glendale, Arizona. But most of us still like to call it Phoenix. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Clemson. It's a big deal. We know the history. We know the past with Ohio State and Clemson. And I'm going to dive into those numbers real quick. I want to tell a bunch of you may there, Tiger Nation, see a bunch of people in here. It's not an earthquake. I'm just scrolling up on my phone. Tiger Nation, Patrick Connor, Little C, Bulldog Freakazoid, Sean D, King J 23, Parker Henderson, Edward Craven. A bunch of you, thank you so much for coming in here. It's good to see you. Some of you saw, I tried to do a video earlier, and Bobby Dirkens Jr. Sounded like he was about to lead the Third Reich, if you know what I mean. So I had to get off of here. There's so much been made of Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence going all the way back to when they were being recruited out of the metro Atlanta area. You want to piss off somebody real quick? Tell somebody from Cartersville, Georgia, you call it Atlanta area. They're, hey, that's Cartersville. Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta, you douche. Do you not get it? We don't care. We just care about these players. Yeah, I'm stirring the pot a little bit. It's almost noon on a Saturday. There ain't no college football on today that I care about. I know there's bowl games of the, the My Dog Bowl, and it's that time of the month bowl. Who really cares about that? I really don't. So these two young men have been doing great things while they were in high school. Incredible athletes, both of them. If you're a Clemson fan, you got used to hearing Georgia fans, as they always do. Did you hear about our recruiting class? Yeah, did you hear about our recruiting class? Another story, different day, different video. You were always really quick to tell us y'all didn't get the number 1 recruit. Well, guess what, Georgia? You still don't have the number 1 recruit. He's up at Ohio State. Said he felt uncomfortable down there in Athens. I don't know why, but come on. Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence signs with Clemson. Has one of the most incredible seasons in the history of college football. So let's go over the numbers. I'm going to go over the numbers. And by the way, I was watching one of those big media shows past weekend, and one of those guys who's a former football player, who they pay a lot of money to get on there and dress in a suit and act like he knows what he's doing, goes, I absolutely hate stats. Okay, I get it. Stats does not tell the entire story. But I tell you right now, it's kind of like the Cliff Notes of what a player does. I mean, if stats don't even matter, somebody needs to tell the Heisman Trophy that. So, though, obviously, Clemson bias here, I'm going to start with Justin Fields. Justin Fields is Justin Fields is 6'3", 233 pounds. This past year, he threw for 2,953 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He threw 308 passes, all right? On the ground, he ran the ball 123 times for 471 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, I'm going to tell you his highs and lows of the season once I get past Trevor Lawrence and what he's done. Trevor Lawrence threw for 3,172 yards, and 34 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's what we all heard about, the 8 interceptions. The last time he threw an interception was in our 7th game. That was Louisville. So he's played, 6 games since then, hasn't thrown a pick. Nobody's really talking about that. They don't want to talk about that. Rushing, he's ran the ball 77 times for 407 yards. Yeah, 7 touchdowns. You really don't see Trevor Lawrence if you're kind of just focusing on that he's this big, massive guy with this massive arm who had a great season last year, but that means nothing this year. I mean, keep telling yourself that. I hope everybody who is not a Clemson fan keeps telling themselves that, because they always end up wrong. you don't see him as a big rusher. You see him as a tall, light stick who can throw the ball, and he's begging to God nobody gets close to him. That's actually not the case. In fact, he rushed for only, let me do the math here. Big toe, little toe, carry the pinky. Yeah, he rushed for only 64 yards less than Justin Fields. And Justin Fields ran the ball, what is that, 46 more times? Not that impressive. Both players are impressive. Of course, there's a Clemson bias here. But when you start breaking down the numbers, you look at it and you say, so you ran the ball another 46 times for 64 yards more? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, good and stuff, but I mean, come on. So let's talk about their game highs and some of their lows here. So the lowest passing game means the lowest yardage he threw for in the season for Justin Fields was actually against Wisconsin the first time they played Wisconsin. Remember, Wisconsin was playing them nice and strong there for a little bit, and then Ohio State was like, you're continuing to try to beat us the way you're doing it. We're just going to wear you down. And that's exactly what they did. He threw for a season low 167 yards against Wisconsin, and that was on the first time. The most times he ran the ball was actually against Penn State. He ran the ball 21 times for 68 yards. His season high of rushing the ball was 72 yards. That was against Nebraska. Let's go over to Trevor. His season high passing was 395 yards against Syracuse. His season low for passing was 94 yards against Charlotte. But he only threw 9 passes the entire game. He didn't play long in that game. The most rushing attempts that he had this year was the game everybody has based how sucky Clemson is, that North Carolina game where we still won, by the way. He ran the ball 11 times. The highest rushing total that he had was 66 yards against South Carolina. So that's one of those deals that if you're really, really paying attention, you want to look at these players. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if you're going to go turn online right now and you're going to watch a lot of these, and I like some of these big shows. I like some of these guys. I think they're incredible. I think that there's a lot of good talent that's on some of these big media shows. There's also some people I'm sitting there going, they either have them on there to stir the pot and try to create ratings, or these people are just absolutely horrible at hiring talent to talk about football. You have to break down some of the numbers and look at what's going on. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the big white and pink elephant in the room. Ohio State's schedule was more difficult than Clemson's. Duh. Clemson's been playing in the ACC for many, many years. All right? Many years. Ohio State's been playing in the Big Ten for many years. There has been years that the Big Ten was sucky and horrible. When Clemson won a national championship in 2016 with Deshaun Watson, I mean, this is just the truth. Listen to me. With Deshaun Watson, we played the nation's #1 schedule that year, and people were still doubting how good we were when we were going in to play Alabama. You got to think that year we had a game in Death Valley against #3 Louisville. That's before Louisville started sucking, and how Lamar Jackson's tearing it up right now in the NFL. That's who we had to beat to win that national championship. People were still questioning us then. People are questioning us now just because it's fun to do. So when you break down the numbers of both of these guys and you see, okay, one thing you can say that definitely Fields has over Lawrence is Lawrence threw 8 interceptions, Fields threw 1. Okay, you got me. But you have to turn around and say, well, hold on. Trevor threw the ball, 3,100 yards, 34 touchdowns. Fields threw it for 29. Oh, well, that's for 40 touchdowns. There's a lot of facts that's going on between these two very similar things that you can look at and you can say, hey, it makes sense. It makes sense. This is going to be, I think, a good game. But there's one thing that I will throw out here that I look at that's very interesting to me. When you look at these players, who has won a national championship? Trevor Lawrence. Well, that means nothing, Bobby. That means no. There you go, Bobby. You're being a homer. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead, say whatever it says. Put your little head at rest at night. Call your mama. Get her to tell you how special you are. I bet you were just as precious as they come in her eyes. That means nothing when we're talking about football, because here's the deal. Clemson returns a coaching staff that is complete from last season. Listen to me. Complete from last season. So that entire coaching staff, it's been together 6-7 years, and we're losing one of them as soon as this playoff run is over. He's going to South Florida. Good for Jeff Scott. He's great. He deserves it. Okay? He deserves even a better job, in my opinion. But we have that entire coaching staff. This is Ryan Day's first time walking in as the head coach coaching in the playoff. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I'm not saying that he's not talented. I'm not saying he doesn't have a chance. What I'm saying is you got one guy who's been there and done it a lot. This is 5th year in a row being in the college football playoff, and he's going for his 3rd national championship in 4 years. You have one guy who took over a tumultuous, that's a big word of the day, program, who they just like to go home and slap their wife, and then come out and play football. He had to clean it up, and good for him. Good for him. Justin Fields come out. He did his job. He did some great things. I'm just telling you who has been there and done that. Justin Fields has not. Could this be his time? Yeah, absolutely. But when you're looking at experience with the big games, when you have the cameras in your faces, and you're not used to this, no matter what stage you've been on, you're not used to this. This is a really, really big deal. Trevor Lawrence definitely has the edge. He definitely has a national championship, and he has the majority of his team coming back on both sides of the ball. If you're a drive-by college football fan who only focuses on your team, you're not focusing on Clemson, the number one thing you hear about is those 4 defensive linemen we lost. 4. Yeah, oh my God, they lost those 4 defensive linemen. Oh, the sky fell, didn't. We return basically all of our offense, and we return a lot of talent on defense, and those 4 spots across the front, we have 4 and 5 stars who's been beating each other up this year just to get a starting position and make a name for themselves. So we have the majority of our team. So if you're not paying attention, trust me, you'll be paying attention. This game is going to come down to these 2 players. My question with both of these guys is this. Trevor, are you going to overthink it? Earlier in the season, when you threw 8 interceptions, you were overthinking stuff. You even admitted it later on that you were overthinking the entire time. The danger I see with Trevor is Trevor goes into this game and he tries to replicate what he did last year. Now, do I know that he has the coaches around him to talk some sense and tell him, hey, boy, straighten up. You ain't got to try to do this. Okay? Hey. Yes, they do. But we're still human beings, and, I'm going to tell you right now, you punch me, I punch you back. I might even try to back over you with my truck. My point is, this young man cannot be too thinking up here too much or he's out there on the field, or else he could definitely throw the game, even though he's our greatest reason we win the game. On the other hand, Justin Fields. Ohio State fans piss their pants when I talk about this. I'm not talking bad about him. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I have sat and watched Justin Fields. Did you not hear that, Bobby? He ran the ball 123 times. Your boy only ran it 77. Yeah, you ran it 46 more times than we did, than Trevor Lawrence, than he did, for an astounding 64 more yards on the ground. I know sacks and stuff like that is thrown into the equation. But I have sat and I've watched Trevor Lawrence absolutely get his head knocked off his shoulders, run it multiple times in a game. I've also, and him get snailed and get up. I have watched Justin Fields on 3 different occasions. Absolutely know the hit is coming. It's a design run. He takes off running. It's him and a DB, and a DB doesn't lay a nasty hit on it. Doesn't try to. Sorry, I just had somebody try to call me here. It wasn't a nasty hit. Justin Fields knows the hit is coming, and by one of Ohio State fans who talks to me every now and again said, hate to say it, but you're right. The kid does not know how to take a hit. You have to know when you're about to get hit how to take a hit. Ask a running back who stays healthy all the time. They know how to take a hit. He does not know how to take a hit. And my question is, will his line be able to protect him enough? Because we know that Brent Venables is going to be bringing. He's going to be bringing the lumber for this kid. Hey, Ohio State, we know who they have on their side. And if Ohio State's paying attention, they know who we have on our side. The Butkus Award winner sitting right there in the middle of the field, and one of the fastest players on the team just happens to be our Butkus Award winning linebacker. There's great talent on both defensive sides of the ball. The question is, will both quarterbacks know how to take a hit? Can they stay healthy? And will one of them not think too much so he doesn't, I don't know, throw 8 interceptions in the first 7 games and none after that? I lean toward, I'll give you my picks later on. You know exactly who I'm going to pick, but I'll give you my picks. I'm going to try to dig a little more into this, talk about the running backs, talk about ETN and Dobbins. Very, very interesting that Dobbins has a few more yards than ETN, but he has, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 more carries than ETN. Anyway, I could talk about that all the time. Thanks so much for joining me. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. I'm excited for next week. For all of you, if you see this on Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. I'm Bobby Dirkens. You keep showing up. Lord knows I'll keep showing out. Bobby Dirkens.